5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fire is saying we have Dutty Bookman here in the studio on an impromptu reasoning. Fire, how you doing?
Everything is blessed, Junior. Give thanks for having me,
Serious thing. Welcome here. I Never Knew TV. Long time coming. The Brilliance was here in Philly, dubbing alongside Tippy I Agreed and Protoje.
Yes.
And give thanks for coming through, all right?
Yeah, man.
Can you please tell the viewers the significance of the name Dutty Bookman and Jamaicans' relationship to the revolution in Haiti?
Yeah. It's greatly significant, and even more so because I feel like in our generation, we were never really exposed through our education system about many stalwarts of, the global African resistance and, freedom fighting that happened throughout the generations. But this one in particular really touched me because, he's a Jamaican. Well, he really came from West Africa, but he was enslaved in Jamaica, and he was one of the few literate slaves, known to even carry a book. Some say he might have been Muslim, and that it was, in that tradition, they call him man of the book. So, that's one of the theories about him. But just to know that, circumstances brought him to Haiti. I think he was sold to another slave owner over there, and he became an integral part of the impetus for the Haitian Revolution.
Before you continue, right? Could you break down? I'm always interested. When did you first learn about this information, and how did it impact you?
Yeah, so I have to go back a little bit before I learned it, because my nickname in high school was Dutty. So it was a nickname that I had. But in Jamaica, Dutty Dutty just mean like, it's more like an attitude. I was a different person back then. Cool. So, but flash forward now, and I'm definitely in my rebel phase of life, start natty up, and I was in Florida and went to meet a sister, a good sister, rest in peace to my sister Tasha. And she invited me to this little coffee shop, and there were books there, and I was filing through the books, and I found this Life magazine special edition, and it was like the 100 greatest events of the 20th century, or the whatever, and early in the book, less than number 10, it was like the Haitian Revolution, and I read it.
Wow, too.
Yeah, right?
That's great.
So I'm reading it, and then the word Dutty catch my eye. I've never seen this word in any prestigious publication in my life. So, dig and look a little closer, and I say Dutty Bookman, and I was like, oh, I never know about this man. So I go home, after I'm done reasoning with her, go home, jump on the computer, research Haitian Revolution, Dutty Bookman. There wasn't a lot of information about him at the time. There's much more now, I think, because so many of us have learned now and are digging. But at the time, it was like very sparse, But from what I learned, I just felt like, okay, yeah, this Jamaican spirit, in essence, living a revolutionary life, and instigating something really massive that became the only successful slave rebellion known, So from that night on, I just I added the Bookman, and that was it,
All right, and continue now with his role in the Haitian Revolution.
Yeah, his role was significant because they called a secret meeting. The slaves, passed along messages throughout the plantations and said, yo, August 14, 1791, we're going to meet at a place called Boakaiman. Boakaiman translates in English loosely as Alligator Woods. So it's a location. So this Boakaiman meeting happened now. Slaves came together, and also I learned later that a lot of that organizing was really the women, because the men were more scrutinized by the slave masters and the overseers. So the women had to really organize the meeting. Cecile Fatiman and Dutty Bookman kind of officiated this meeting. She was a priestess. And so a lot of her role in the meeting seemed to have been to do the rites and rituals. You know, I think she was instrumental in cutting the pig's throat and everybody passed around the blood, and you know. Bookman's role was crucial because it was a very impassioned speech. Pretty much they call it the prayer, Bookman's prayer. You know, and he was just saying, you know, like the God of these white people, they don't want good for us, you know, they want us to basically perish. But our good God wants what is best for us, you know? And so the energy of that meeting led to the following week now. The conclusion of that meeting was next week, we're going to start burn down the place. So everybody just waiting these 7 days now, and that's how the Haitian Revolution kick off. Them start burn up the plantation, and you know, the slave master them start panic, and that was it. You know, 13 plus years of revolution, fighting constantly. Napoleon sending people and can't defeat these black people, you know. So it's a great thing that we should all be proud of as African descendants, you know, that we have this legacy of a solid victory. That victory changed so much in the Western Hemisphere. That led to the Louisiana
Messed
Purchase.
up everything. Messed up all the finances.
Yeah, it led to the Louisiana Purchase in the States. You know, France basically sold. They doubled the size of the United States at the time. You know what I mean? So these things are all interconnected, you know?
I want to talk about Bookman Express. When did you get the inspiration to public books that highlight Rastafari, African culture, and children's books that help our youth see themselves in a positive light?
Yeah, the motivation to do Bookman Express was really, I wanted to publish my first book, which is Tried and True, Revelations of a Rebellious Youth. Just telling my story of going back to Jamaica after college and trying to give the energy of my youth to my country, you know? And the things that I experienced, the places I ended up working, the people I met, those experiences that mold me into becoming the Dutty Bookman, you know? And even some really like psycho-spiritual experiences that I had were like vivid visions, dreams, and just really mystical occurrences that are not probable were happening to me back to back, which are recorded in the book. So that need to kind
We're
of
gonna talk about those later too.
yeah. All right. So that need for me to express myself and my story and not have someone else tell it led to me forming my own publishing company to put out my own work. And then from there, you know, we started over the years working with other people.
How was that finding printers and everything? What was that process like?
Oh, at first we just did like, you know, the print on demand. You know, that was a big thing coming up at the time. So we experimented with print on demand for a few years, and then, you know, now we use like publishers from, you know, I mean, printers from China and stuff like that, you know. But honestly, I would love to establish a printing press, like, you know, in Jamaica, like we can eliminate the shipping time, that kind of stuff, you know, and be more efficient.
And I want to ask you, I know you published books from who I call the reading rods, Kwasi Bansu, the Jazz March Kwasi, right?
Yeah.
How impactful was that book on your understanding of Rastafari and our, I should I say, Haile Selassie I's history when you read it?
So I have a very special relationship with that book, Haile Selassie I Ethiopia, Volume 1, because I'm also the editor of that book. So editor and publisher of the book, you know. So I had to really read it meticulously.
Repetition and really get down.
Repetition, many conversations with the Jazz March Kwasi to tweak it and make it, you know, make the narrative of it flow. So, but even before that, I had a relationship with the Jazz March Kwasi through living in DC.
You lived in DC?
I had lived in DC, yeah. So basically, I actually published my book from DC after leaving Jamaica, you know. I spent 5 years in DC. During that time, we were heavily involved in an organization called Universal Development of Rastafari, IDOR, which Kwasi himself is a very integral part of. And we had a study group every Saturday at the Sankofa bookstore on Georgia
So
Avenue.
he's deep in the thing then. Yeah,
So
yeah.
every Saturday we are in upstairs, they give us a private meeting room and all Rastafari and anybody interested come, and we have the selected speeches of His Majesty and everybody has to read it. We pass it around to each other and we read each person takes a paragraph and we pause at the end of the paragraph and everybody say, "What Haile Selassie I say right there, so." And what we found over the years is that His Majesty was so deliberate in the words that he chose, and what he was trying to convey in different settings and scenarios. And like, okay, this man was really serious about nation building. This is his legacy. He might build a nation in bringing Ethiopia out of antiquity into modernity, and he wasn't shy about using even foreign people to help train his people or to help develop certain things in Ethiopia. And then what we found is that because of his openness to the rest of the world, including the Europeans, it's kind of burned him in a way. Because we know what happened. Italy basically run in and him have to go in exile or whatever. But because of his character and the diplomacy and just his foresight, he prevailed, Him conquer as he is the conquering lion, So I was very deep into studies of His Majesty at the time. What Kwasi's book brought to the table for me was he has a great art of storytelling and how he pulls together the different things that were happening in the world at the time and shows how that affected Ethiopia and how Ethiopia affected the wider world as well. So that was really good to me. And even people might say I'm a Rastafari publisher and it might mean to them that I go and publish Rastafari books. I've never really said that about myself because I feel like most of the people, I gotten a lot of manuscripts and stuff, and I think they regurgitate the same things. And so I don't have that much resources to go add something to the world that's already there. Like I can just say, go read that book, Kwasi's book was the first one that when him showed me the manuscript, I said, yo, this is adding something to the whole lexicon.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah, And so it was an immediate yes, like we have to do this one. And knowing that it's a planned series and, I think he's planning 7 volumes, I can just only hope and pray that we get to publish our 7 volumes,
How did you grow in the craft of, because you're a multi-talented man, how did you grow in the craft of being an editor?
Yeah, I'm still growing in that. It's just my personality of like attention to detail. I think that's it, I was never particularly brilliant as a writer in high school or anything like that, and I wasn't interested. But I get the grades, But I just think I have a good grasp on the use of language, and I'm definitely always concerned with the flow of information. When I'm trying to get something across to somebody, that's why I might have a long preamble when you ask me a question, because I feel like the context is necessary to get to the punchline,
Did being around artists help that skill?
Never thought of it. But I would have to say probably. I mean, you're always influenced by your surroundings, so I would say yes.
I'm thinking about what you said and just being around an artist creating, and you have a short time span to get a message across, and you have to be very intent on how that message is presented.
Yeah.
So I think consistently being around that would spill over to being an editor and modifying the text.
It's possible, but honestly, I can't say for sure, but it's possible, yeah.
I want to discuss the brilliance of Haile Selassie I and how the teachings of His Majesty has impacted all aspects of your life.
The greatest thing that Haile Selassie has given to me is the confidence to know that despite challenges, despite obstacles, despite naysayers, you can actually overcome and conquer with faith, courage, and a just cause. that was the greatest thing that His Majesty gave to me, and studying his speeches solidified that for me, more than just the aura of him, which is great on its own, but seeing his words and his intent and things like that made me feel like, oh, okay, yeah, you can be highly intellectual in a world that maybe is not always on that wavelength, you know, and you can still make great impact, you know, in the world of men. You know what I mean? One thing that really touched me is that he was at one point educated by Jesuits. And why that touched me is because I came up in Jamaica. All my schooling was Catholic.
Yeah.
And the Jesuits are an order of Catholicism. And in fact, my high school is run by Jesuits.
The college I went to was a Jesuit school.
Huh?
Loyola. I went to.
Oh, yeah. So Loyola was a house at my school. Like we had 6 houses, colors, you know, everybody in a house. Loyola was one of the houses. And they're all named after these saints, you know. I was in Gonzaga, but the school is called Campion College. And it's a Jesuit run school, and that really touched me too, because, you know, it's like you can be. One thing I've been saying a lot recently is that you can be in the world but not of the world. So, you know,
delve a little deeper into that.
No, it's just that I feel like as Rastafari especially, we're such a peculiar people and culture, you know? But we exist in the world, and I feel like a lot of ones, we are so caught up in burning Babylon indiscriminately and having this like, yo, we are not that, which is fine, but I feel like a lot of people make it affect how they deal in society. So for me, the example of His Majesty is he can go into any situation, any room, among anyone, any set of people, and be very diplomatic and see the other person's point of view. And he may not agree, but he's going to make them comfortable and make them know, say, him understand them point of view, but this is my point of view. This is what me depend. So that is kind of how I move in my life, you know, and it's like we're in the world, but not of the world. So, you know, even right now, I send my youths to same type of institutions to get a good education, because the educational value, I cannot deny that these churches and whatever, they have set up a good way of educating people, you know, math and the things that we all need to know. And they're going to come and try to indoctrinate and slip in the little, you know, things here and there. But they also come home to me. So I just reiterate to them that we're not of this world. Like, fine, respect it. We go to them school, so we're not going to go there and bonfire. Be respectful, and then come home and be, you know. So, Haile Selassie really was impactful for me, has been up to this time. Anytime I reflect on him, I just reflect on his moderate stance to situations of conflict or potential conflict, and his commitment to keeping peace while developing and advancing his own goals. Yeah, so that is what I really deal with.
That's a unique. I never really hear people. They never say that Selassie I empowers them to have courage and give them strength to deal with the obstacles of life. And I'm glad you got that from it, because we all need it. For me, this Marcus Garvey, the true fighter, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, anything I just go to Marcus Garvey. You know what I'm saying? I can't lie to you, you know? But I'm glad that you took that, because we all, as brothers, we all need that strength and that inspiration from somewhere.
Yeah, man.
And unfortunately, a lot of brothers don't have that source to pull from.
Right.
You know, so I'm glad you was able to get that from His Majesty.
I give that.
All right. All right. What are your thoughts about the Rastafari movement in these modern times?
Boy, you're going to draw me out now in a June. Let me sip my coconut water. The Rastafari movement in these modern times. I will start by saying I feel like we are we are behind where I think we should be at this time. I think that with such an exemplar as Haile Selassie I, what he represented, the things that he espoused and charged us to do, directly or indirectly, I think that we have wasted some time to organize and to centralize. So that's the main thing. For me, with Rastafari, I think that we still have a little bit too much infighting. There are so many differences of opinion. You know, if you meet 400 Rasta and talk to 400 Rasta over 400 days, you're going to get 400 separate opinions.
Pointless opinions too, no disrespect.
About what is Rastafari and who is a real Rastafari and whatever. So I know I don't check a lot of boxes for a lot of people right now as to what a real Rastafari is supposed to be. But the one thing I know is that we all can agree that Haile Selassie is the man, right? And so what I know from my experience, unequivocally, what I know is that 90% of Rastafari cannot tell you nothing about a speech from His Majesty except the one where Bob Marley sing. And from you can't have a conversation with me about His Majesty's ideals and goals and things he has said and what his mission was and African unity and starting the OAS and, you know, all of these things. There's no starting point for me and this person to really build, you know?
In defense of my Rastafari Brilliance history, I do always say this, is that I think the expectation is unrealistic compared to the norms in regular society. So for instance, your average Christian, right?
Yeah.
They don't know anything about Christianity nor the Bible. So it's like it's this expectation now because you're a Rastafari, but you're supposed to have this intellectual aspect, right?
Yeah.
There's another part too we have to understand, is that we can't separate culture from the individual. And that goes with the infighting.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically for Jamaicans, right? Jamaican people struggle with working together. So if a person struggles working with another person, why would this differ all of a sudden because they said they're trying to Rastafari?
Right.
So there's a certain level of teaching and remolding of the character of the person and the spirit of the person to kind of align with certain expectations we have. And Rastafari is pretty young and has done a lot.
Very young, very young, yeah.
So I think we need to keep that in perspective, is that to be such a young movement,
yeah,
and to impact the world so much,
mm-hmm.
the next step though that there seems to be a schism between the intellectual aspect and the liberty. That's the difference I've seen being amongst the elders and the younger generation. Mm-hmm. There has to be a bridge between the elders and the younger generation, because the elders got to vibe for the younger generation because they feel obviously things are easier. You don't deal with that persecution.
Yeah.
But Fire's a different time.
Yeah, man.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And the younger people, which me and Fire spoke about, which is very irresponsible, the criticism for the elders for what they didn't do, not understanding what could they do in the time and space that they were in.
Yeah.
So I think once we clear up those things, Far Right, and really it's just a teaching, like you, brethren, were gathering to reason.
Mm-hmm.
You need more gatherings, but the reasons is not just chanting Rastafari, but actually teaching how to conduct yourself as a man, as a woman, and how to work with your brother and sister.
Yeah.
So it's back to the grassroots, I think, and I think that would lead to more progress collectively.
Yeah, I'm glad you came with that perspective, you know, and I definitely agree. And maybe I would not have said it in this moment on the interview, but it's definitely something that I say. And, you know, I'm not like, I don't have any sort of like, I don't want to seem like I have any sort of like disdain for the wider Rastafari community. I'm just saying that through my work and my experiences, I have found that, especially because I feel that in some situations I've been judged unjustly. And so it kind of turned me off because I give so many years of volunteer time and energy towards building our community, you know, and it's like sometimes we shun each other, the people who have the the people who have the tools, the who have been fortunate like me to have a good education and can apply that to the nation. And it's like, but you did say something which I've been talking about for years and years. In fact, I wrote about it in my second book, Fatedic. Bad mind syndrome. That is rampant in Jamaica, right? It is a serious thing, to the point where, to go back to your original question about the state of Rastafari, what I have found and what I think most Rastafari who exist outside of Jamaica will agree, that Rastafari in Jamaica has a serious problem, mental health issue going on. And it's affecting the perception of Rastafari probably to a higher scale because it's at the source, which is Jamaica. So we do have that issue, that general kind of bad mind vibes that is in Jamaica. Rastafari can't be immune to it because they're there.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the mental health, because worldwide we're in a mental health crisis, but in certain pockets it's a little higher than others.
Yeah.
I think Jamaica is definitely one of those pockets.
Yeah, man.
And just reasoning with people, and in their defense too, I gotta defend people fire because it is what it is. But one, you never learn generational. You never learn the tools to process things. You see people kick off with really kick off till they want to take a life over the most pointless things.
Yeah, man.
Fire, that's mental illness. That's not normal processing the behavior, right? And just that example of not working. I have a little crew that we work with, right? Like my little tight circle, and you have your tight circle, but you understand there's a commitment, and the mission is more important than the little things, and we can discuss disagreements, and I have to be no yelling and this and that, and work with people. If you've never been exposed to that, and all you know is that, and also too, there's another aspect too, they don't understand how big the cake is. They feel that if Bookman is winning, I'm losing.
Scarcity mindset.
All right. So these are the things where it comes to education and repetition for them to understand. But that's a big part. If you're winning, it's like you're not taking any weight. You know what I'm saying? They don't fire. You're not taking anything away. Fire. I'm gonna give you an example. Ask Tippy. I spoke to Tippy Wednesday, right? He said, "Yo, you need a ticket?" I said, "No, I'm good. I usually just buy a ticket and support the artist." These are basic behaviors in regards to. I understand you're coming to the city. Whether the place sell off or not, I understand you dealing with business, Far.
Yeah.
You're here for business, right?
Right.
Your business is entertainment.
Yeah.
So why would I, even though I have the link, why am I taking a free ticket if I understand the business aspect? Like these type of ideas will help move forward. And it's just learning.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I feel like
education is needed. A lot of education.
Yeah, public education, and but like you said, it's more a matter of like getting together, just sitting together. Maybe we're not having reasoning like how the elders did have reasoning. That could be a big part of the thing right now. But yeah, it's unfortunate that we're at this stage, but we have life, and we have every waking moment, every new day to be better. So I definitely have great hopes for what Rastafari can be and do in this world that is rapidly transforming right now. I worry that we won't be able to keep up, but I just have to hold the faith, because His Majesty is unconquerable. In his darkest hour, he wept tears over in Bath, England, not knowing what the outcome will be, but the man persevere and good conquer evil. So, we have to just remain steadfast that David can slew Goliath even in the 21st century again, Yeah.
I want to speak about the Reggae Revival, right? In 2010, you coined the term Reggae Revival, which seemed to receive a lot of criticism from the elder statesmen and the reggae fraternity. Why did you use the term Reggae Revival?
Well, just one quick correction. I coined that term in 2011. And I remember the exact date because it was November 22nd when I launched my book, Tried and True. It's at the book launch that I first gave this idea of a revival. In fact, at first I call it the Jamaican Revival. And because a lot of people were there. We had a really strong movement, of young youths coming up together, at the time. So, Protoje that the Protoje performed. Janine in the house, Kabaka and Abishai them in the house. There was a hip hop movement brewing at the time too, the First Coast movement. So 5 Steez there and lots of visual artists and lots of great behind the scenes workers who make things connect and happen, and standing room only, it was like a record breaking launch for that bookstore at the time. And so the support was so overwhelming, and I used the opportunity to say, yo, look at us, we are right now, we're doing it, we're having a great moment, and foreign journalists going to come in with the usual Jamaican fascination and say, oh, this is that, and try give it a name. And I was very deep into I always pre the media. I was very critical of the media, how they shape people's lives, And I said, no, the media got to use this and give the thing a name, and why we don't just give the thing a name and we control the narrative. So that was how Reggae Revival came about. Protoje then was inspired by whatever I said, and he went into studio and him record a tune named Reggae Revival with Romain Virgo. And from there we just push Reggae Revival, I would just talk about it a lot. And it was really a year and a half later, early 2013, that the local media in Jamaica started to use the term. And that's the year that it really bust wide open. Because now the international media come in and yeah.
Because it was more of a cultural awakening at that time. I'm not sure, because you guys were in it, I'm not sure the impact you knew you had on people, because not only was it the Rastafari energy, but I think the holistic lifestyle and the eating fire. I think you guys really inspired people to clean up their eating.
We were fully aware that this was powerful. So it's like all of us knew. And if I never said, maybe somebody else would have said something. But I just happened to be the first person to speak up and say, yo, what we are do? So I just became a sort of ambassador for this movement of us, and some people agreed with the name, some people never liked the word sound of the name, and that caused some little frictions and preying of each other and that kind of thing. But for the most part, we were all committed to moving our culture forward, and even the name, I was inspired by the Harlem Renaissance as a holistic cultural movement,
I think that's the part that was people didn't clearly. I understood what was going on.
Yeah.
But I think when they heard Reggae Revival, what the complaints I heard was reggae was dead. And
yeah, they pigeonhole it and give they put on the horse, right? Yourself to make it only look that way there. So everybody was just saying, oh, we're disrespecting the elders of reggae. And then you have the younger ones who they don't want to be seen as part of disrespecting the elders. So they became vocal about, yo, reggae never dead, blah, blah, blah. That was never the point. At no point would we even dream to disrespect the elders. And that's why you don't see any argument or anything. When the elders speak, I just shut up. You get me? But it is what it is. We're here years later and people still bawling, say there's not enough reggae anymore or whatever. We could have done so much more with that moment if we were organized and centralized. But
I want to get into that, right? First thing I want to ask is that in retrospect, what do you think could have been done? Fire, the movement was heavy fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
What can you think could have been done better personally and collectively to the energy that was going on there to sustain it for a longer period of time?
All right, I'll start personally. And I don't be too hard on myself, because the main thing I think that beat me personally is that I had moved from Jamaica right when the thing was hot. So I'm really in DC. I'm not a man with any inheritance or a bag of money to take a plane every day to be in the midst of everybody. But if I was on the ground, I'm sure it would have been a different scene right now, because I was the only one really going out there and championing, talking about it to explain the minutia and what we're really trying to accomplish. I'm sure other people were, but I was the one with the time to do it. The other ones were in the studios and whatever. I was the one with the time. I could have sit on many panels and hold many reasonings in people's backyard or whatever. And every time somebody, even some of the people who were detractors and resisting the idea of the Reggae Revival, when they meet me somewhere on tour or something, and we finally hold a reason, like people, I remember even one time, like say, Warrior King, him say, yo, I never realized say, that you do, but you know?
That's what I was saying earlier, man. Like, if I talked to everybody and I was hearing what they were saying, and I was just like, who would listen? I would explain to them and say, fight, that's not the case. I would more term it as a cultural awakening for branding purposes, obviously.
Yeah, it was a great awakening, yeah.
Their explanation, I'm like, fight, that's not what they did.
Yeah, so it was, personally, I feel like if I was in a better position to do that public education work, we would have been in a different position. Collectively, I think that a lot of egos flared. I feel like people began to be mistrustful of each other. I believe that some of the artists, even though I have to give them great credit, when they're on the stage,
good to go.
Them show great unity. And that's what people need to see. We present great unity. And that inspired, that made it actually what it was. That put wind in the sails of it, It couldn't just be a man say Reggae Revival. People had to see a demonstration of, it's really a collective of ones. Every time one do a show, the rest of them feature up on the show. The next one do a show, everybody go over this one. So it was a great thing. But I think behind the scenes, people were we could have worked, or maybe they could have worked on a deeper level to establish certain institutions that would have carried us to a greater level, and it never really happened.
Yeah, I think the institution word is the correct word that you use. Too much too soon. The ego's there, and I don't think it was enough, what we would say, old heads there to keep the whispers away and keep people out of people's ears.
Yeah.
Because you can see visually, fire, without knowing what's going on, you can see less and less interaction. Less and less collabs.
Yeah,
less and less
over
people
the
coming
years,
on
right?
stage, you know, until now every man kind of off to itself.
Yeah.
And I think you needed you needed something there to keep things intact.
Yeah.
And to kind of give that support and explanation. Because I remember I never posted this interview. Abby must remember it. The brethren, the engineer brethren with Kabaka.
Abby, yeah.
No, Abby, what's the next brethren?
Dwayne. Yeah.
We're in the back of the juice store, right?
Mm.
They didn't like the reasoning. It is what it is, if you remember it. But I was telling them, I was pre in the thing, and I said, yo, I remember like individuals coming up to SOBs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I was like, yo, why don't y'all just hit the road together and make it work? And it was all this it was all this, I don't want to say excuses, but explanations. And it's just like, I don't know if they understood the power in the collective presentation, because you're not drawing as much individually, but collectively.
Mm-hmm.
And you may have to be, you may not close the show. You may have to, I think Chronixx was kind of running the place at the time.
Yeah,
you may have to be Chronixx, but use that where everybody could work, fire.
Yeah.
And it didn't click, man.
Yeah. As simple as you take it, one of the things that I think was a sticking point for that possibility even happening, was everybody has their own bands. Whose band you use for the collect? Because you can't pay every band.
But I will say, I think Stephen Marley and Damian Marley did a good job recently on their tour where they blended the bands.
Mm-hmm.
Or also, it's just like fire. You have to make a decision.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? There has to be a compromise to make this work.
Yeah.
And present the music to a certain light.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, you do it in business, fire. It's just like, yo, the one who's the most talented, you just go ahead. It is what it is. Because the mission is more important than what I think. We're just trying to get this accomplished.
Well, I don't think they were ever, history shows they were never able to get over that and come to consensus.
And since you're here, a question I got to ask on behalf of the people is that I get the real fight. We get the street noise. I'm not sure. You probably get the filtered noise by the time we get to you. One of the concerns people had about the music with that generation is the shift from the origin. So all these artists got all these artists got famous off the Rastafari message and a certain sound and even a look. But it seemed like many have deviated from that, right? Why do you think that's the case?
I think that our generation is less concerned with the facade of how the optics and more about the freedom to go on your life journey. So I do not think, from what I know of all of these artists and even myself, is that everything you go through. For instance, I mentioned that we used to do the study group in DC. That was my very intense Rastafari study period. So you couldn't have a conversation with me without me I tell you some me gone deep. And people not interested, but me not care. Now I'm on a different phase of life and I'm experiencing different things. But you can't take away Rastafari from me. You get me? So to me, what I see is that same trajectory with everybody else in terms of people are going to be who they are.
They have fiery at that moment. Too.
Yeah, you have your fiery period. Then you have your time when you grow up a little bit and you decide, say, all right, we can put on some of the fire. That no means that when the situation coffee, we can rise up the fire. But I do not want to live a life every day of being fiery. I just go out in the world and it's just fire me I bring, like, that's not how I want to live my life, you know? So I feel like our generation, we never succumb to the pressure of the groupthink and like having to be a certain way to fit in with your own community for the good or bad of it. But I think that's what really happened, and that's how I analyze the thing.
And when we spoke to Kabaka, right, we disagreed on this topic because he was saying that reggae artists are the most pigeonholed in a sense. You're not allowed to evolve as a reggae artist. But I was telling him, like, the critique is there with rap artists also, you know, because Nas has a song where he says, I guess people are criticizing him for just trying new things and touching on different topics, and they want him to stay in the same place.
Yeah.
He was saying as a person he's evolved. I'm asking you, do you think reggae artists are pigeonholed where fundamentalists like myself, we just want to hear a certain sound and we're not open to anything else? Not worldwide. No,
yeah.
I'm talking about,
yeah, there's a sense of that. And I just think that, in fact, people may not realize it, but I used to be one of those fundamentalists. So that was kind of even what makes some people who are great friends within the movement maybe even start pre-me, because I used to be one of those proponents of saying, yo, man, them now deal with the original root sound, you know. What them I deal with? And, you know, Ray, and Tay. But I had to come within myself over the years, just really observing them and just saying, yo, but what is the purpose of me stifling their creativity? In a new era we're in a new dispensation of time. Things always evolve, which, however you think it evolves, some people might say it's a negative, positive, but the only thing consistent and constant is change. So why would we expect reasonably, as a reasonably thinking human being, why would we expect that you stick to this one sound in 2020, we're in the 2020s now? Or let's go back to the time that people complain about, the 2010s, right? Why would we expect it to sound like 90s Bobo music? Or why would we expect it to sound like Bob Marley, 12 Tribes era, you know, Dennis Brown, Jacob Miller? Why would we expect that? We carry the sound and in different ways, and it evolves. Maybe we're at the point where it seems to have strayed the most, and that's maybe troubling and concerning. But I think that also we have great ones who, and this was one of the things that bothered me the most, Junior. This bothered me so much. It made me so sad to think about this. We had such great artists, they are still active, who stuck to the original sound and the roots in our generation. And my thing was always trying to encourage everybody to say, listen, Reggae Revival is not a clique of individuals, it's not a gang, it's the spirit of our time. And we have these other people too who maybe not getting the limelight like the ones who are stretching the sound, but who are sitting in the pocket of original roots and culture and doing it well. And to me, they are Reggae Revival as well. But the thing that hurt me, Junior, is those people were so adamant that they did not want to be a part of it. That they even, couple of them even come to me and said, do not call my name in the Reggae Revival. So it is like them just nip it in the bud any opportunity that I could support and help them to be recognized in other spheres apart from just the root sphere or the lane that they have chosen for themselves, which they're entitled to. But I feel like right now, like, me just want to even call the name them now, brother. Like, I'm not going to do it, but I'm just saying that's how I feel. But I'm not going to do it because I respect somebody's wishes.
It's not the place for it.
Yeah. But I feel like certain artists right now should be with us yesterday in Philadelphia at that dub event, chanting Mike tour. You know what I mean? And it's like the mistrust and the vibes kind of stop that.
Question I have, which the people want to hear, is that, all right, so we spoke about the growth and just the ability to express yourself musically and grow as an artist, right? That's cool. But the question I have is that what I notice is that now with the Cali bands, even though it's a different sound, Fire, they kind of just in this space. And I know there are a lot of other aspects that lead to it, right? Mm-hmm. But in regards to the sound, because the people we're talking about, the music that they're truly known for is the music that came out during the heights of the Reggae Revival, right? The songs later, Fire, don't really catch like that. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. You can just deal with the facts and performances, right? Mm-hmm. But what I'm noticing with these other groups, these Europe Fire, they just on straight one drop and people coming out to see it. Now, I know there are other factors to it, right? But why do you think, is it a sense that they don't want to hear the run drop from Jamaican reggae artists? Is it an economics thing? Is it a support thing? Why, if a Jamaican reggae artist makes a one drop tune, it's not catching like the European person or the Cali person that makes a one drop horn section Fire, bass line? I hear some British talking about Rastafari over there, yo. Throw a little Rastafari in their song. Yeah. So what's going on there? Because you're a man on the road that observe it. So what's going on?
Well, as you rightfully said, there are a lot of factors. I don't know if you're trying to get into the factors.
Yeah, the factors. Yeah,
you're trying to get into it. Okay. Well, the network of the people, because you mentioned basically like the Cali roots, the Cali reggae scene.
Support system heavy out there.
Yeah, they have a great support system. They have their own culture. So the thing that over the years I noticed people have a problem grappling with is that people will steal your culture. It's not really stealing. They're inspired, but they have their own culture. So they're going to make it, adapt and mold it to fit in with their lifestyle and how they grow. So that's all that happened with the Cali music scene to me. When I observe it, I'm like, okay, this is just the nature of these people, you know? And give thanks, they created a scene whereby when they're ready to call on some Jamaican artists, they're going to call Protoje, they're going to call Jesse Royal. Now, why they choose the artists that they call, that's another story on its own. But what I have learned through conversations over time is that there was a period where the Jamaican artists who would come over and do work.
Highly unprofessional.
Extremely unprofessional. And coming into the people them space and badding them up too.
With 1,000 people, that's not assisting with the production.
Yeah. So it's like that did kind of set us back as a people doing our music in this side of the world. And I can't speak to Europe as much.
No, Europe's the same thing, Fine. I've spoken to European promoters.
I've heard some of that too. But at least now Europe still has a robust reggae scene that enough Jamaican artists can penetrate. It's harder to penetrate the North American space as a Jamaican artist. Just by visas, just go visa alone. Enough man can't get the visa. So that defeat X amount of percent away already. And then from the ones that are doing the work now is who is professional, because a lot of those promoters are still, they were from that time or they have the
Small
muscle memory of that time.
A small circle, word spread very quick.
Word spread quick. So one thing I pride myself on is professionalism, you know, and timeliness, and it's the simple things. Be on time, communicate well, tell them if something going wrong, say it immediately, and so they have time to work it out, and just be a good human being. Don't go in the people them. It's like if a man come inside of my house, open my front door, and say, yo, we eat pork, you know. So pork, I have to put pork on the table, you know. So it's like we go in and say, yo, we do this and we is that, and you not do that. Fire. It don't make any sense. You get me?
I wanted to add this to it so people know far right. The artists that get the most work or you see touring, the common denominator is professionalism. It really is. Because people understand, they think like it's some club. It's not no club. It's just consistent professionalism where people are comfortable working with you.
Yeah.
That's what they don't
That's
understand.
how relationships are built.
You know?
So then every time them think about the next year's festival and them start to send the offers out, them go with who them know that work with them good. We all would do that. We all would do that, you know?
I think in regards to accountability, especially with Jamaican reggae artists, there's a lack of accountability in regards to the role you played in the fact that your phone doesn't ring.
Say that again?
There's a lack of accountability in the role that artists play and the fact that their phone does not ring.
Oh,
Because you hear everybody fighting you down system. It's not necessarily the case, right? You've consistently conducted yourself in a way where people are turned off to work with you.
Yeah. And
you guys have a good name in regards to professionalism out there. I will tell you that. And Tippy, I agree. You guys have a very good name when it comes to professionalism, right? And people are open to working with you. Straight to the point.
Yeah, that is very deliberate. That is like, why would we not be professional if this is your profession and your career? It's literally the thing, you get me? So you have to take it seriously. You have to know the conditions that you're operating in. You have to know that people have their own cultures and you're going into their space. So Haile Selassie never walk over into the League of Nations and conduct himself like when him in him throne room in Ethiopia. Him go and respect the protocols of the League of Nations and get the job done and then go back to him yard and him can kick up him foot if him want and whatever. That is how we have to think about it. You know, we're going out into a wider world. We don't want to be stuck on a small island where it's hard to generate the economies of scale and build yourself. You need access to the world. The earth is the laws and the fullness thereof. So just kind of fit in and do your thing, you know, show the respect while not being disrespected. Because I think that is one thing too. I feel like I've seen and heard a couple situations where it's like, we've been a little, we kind of be a little bit too submissive to them because we say, all right, them are going to give you the check or whatever. We not really depend on that. As for me and my team, we not depend on that. Like, we don't take foolishness. You know?
I'll give you another complaint too, is that the overpricing. So I've heard this. I'm not sure if you heard this. Reggae artists have known to charge more to black promoters than white promoters. In this states, that's a big thing for you. If a white promoter were to call, not all, but we have specific ones, right? And anyone listening, they know if they experience this. If it's a white show, I don't care if it's in a bar with 3 people, right? It's whatever price. When you call fire, it's like 5 times more.
Really?
Facts.
I don't have that experience. I don't know about that. That's news to me.
But that comes into car. You said the different behaviors, but it comes into that book of fire.
Wow, I will say that I, over the years, find it, sad to say, I find it more difficult to work with promoters who are like I people. It's because it's the same professionalism thing. On both sides. There are promoters who are not professional, and more often than not, Jamaican promoters are not giving me the same level of seriousness. Sad to say.
Even though Jamaica is the birthplace of reggae, right? It seems as if Jamaican reggae have an unhealthy relationship. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems as if Jamaican reggae artists don't get a healthy amount of support from Jamaican residents.
From Jamaican residents in Jamaica. Yeah. Reggae artists.
Reggae artists.
Correct. I will not correct you because you are not wrong. Yeah. You know, correct. I don't think, even right now, you know, I just moved back to Jamaica, you know, a couple months ago. And already I'm seeing two things. I'm seeing two things. A general lack of support for a strictly reggae event, to the point where there really are none because nobody finds it viable. But because I like to do the hard thing and take the hard road, I'm already thinking of ways to penetrate. And if it's a slow grow, which I'm always good with, I like slow growth because to me it's a more meaningful growth. But venue owners don't have that kind of patience. They need bar for sell today and them kind of things. So finding the right partners is a challenge. But yeah, reggae in terms of its not acceptance. Reggae in terms of the support it gets in the mainstream outer road in Jamaica is kinda on the back foot right now.
And it's as my English brethren would say, it's a conundrum because they use reggae to brand Jamaica. Even if it's a one love song, fire, right? At the end of the day, they use reggae as brand Jamaica, the number one brand of Jamaica. They had the locks there, right?
Yeah.
But these things, because it's like, I forgot if I was reasoning with Jeff, sorry, but I was saying, man, it's sad the amount of talent that's in Jamaica and the amount of talent that's there versus what's being produced is very disturbing, because I was talking to a Bridget wise, intelligent, a rapper, right?
Mm.
So you know how people say like, and I had to catch myself because I went through this period with saying like, a certain level of reggae music's not being made, and I had to catch myself because I was wrong. There is reggae music being made,
great,
but you have to put a little more effort to actually find it because it's not being circulated, right?
Correct.
So if we have that level of music being made, why doesn't the government, who uses the same music as a number one form
don't even bother going
No, I'm just saying.
We not depend on government right now.
No,
can't depend on government.
No, I understand that, but it's like, I think people need to finesse it. If they're going to do it, they need to finesse a way to where it's beneficial, because this was going to happen. You're going to have a whole generation that's discouraged from even getting into reggae eventually. Listen to what I'm telling you, Fire. Because if they consistently see that fire, yo, this man really put this thing in, he's sitting here next to me, you're going to have less people trying it. And that's my concern.
Yeah, it's definitely something to be concerned about.
Very discouraging economically. You know?
Oh, but what I wanted to say earlier, I was saying two things. So I mentioned number one. Number two is people miss the vibes, you know. Because when they actually, like, the couple times so far that I've, in the past year or so, play music in Jamaica, Kingston, and people hear the selections of me a draw for, or even, let's even just take, because me apparently is the Reggae Revival man. So even that decade of music, the 2010s, don't get as much play as, say, the previous music and even some that coming out now. For some reason, selectors are skipping this generation of music. And when I go and play it, and people say, yo, remember them tune? Like say some long time thing. That show there's a vibe, but people miss it.
They miss it. And, you know? And what I noticed with selectors too, Fire, they're not as educated as people think. Like they on this top 10 thing. So basically they just learn like the main song from it. They don't really know
hit
music.
Song them want, just hit song.
So if you as a man just go play music, Fire, it's shelling. You could draw.
And it's not say I'm shelling, you know. I wouldn't say me a shell down dance, you know. But people are they're engaged because they must say, yo, in place are different. I'm like, yo, this is nice and it's good music. You can't deny good music.
No, it's shelling at the end of the day, because shelling is people are engaged and enjoying themselves.
Well, yeah.
Because Fire, listen, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna share one little combination I use to warm up the place. Fire. I'll play Alpha and Omega. I'll play Eternal Fire.
Yeah.
Then I'll go to Roots and Chalice.
Yeah.
I probably skip back to Protection. And fight that just keep the place nice, just a little, you know.
It's a vibe,
but
yeah.
It's a vibe, but
It's a vibe.
as I said, a lot of selectors, no disrespect, they don't really know music. They just don't know music. Fight. It's a top 10 thing. Your average selector is a top 10 selector. Fight. You don't know no music outside of whatever was trending in that time and space.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the next aspect in regards to people need to get better at playing music. And not just playing top 10 songs, right? Actually playing music so people have a nice vibe to them, you know?
Yeah, I think so. Some great selector. I'm observing some great selectors and DJs in Jamaica. Some younger youth who you know, me like Boom Draw. You know, we just do a thing called Ladies Love Reggae over Dubwise Cafe. Me, Jason. It was closed by Brush One. It's the first time I witnessed Brush One as a selector. I've met him once before, but tough. You see me? So it's like there are people, there's an army out there who can make the thing happen, you know. We just have to get together and do the thing, and like I definitely committing myself to like getting out there and playing music and
I respect because even Tippy play by her things like he'll play like Jalil, you know, say let the people know about more than more.
Yeah.
Samaria,
That's the thing that what we do. You see me? Like even last night in the same dance when I play, I don't know if it did reach when I was playing, but I tell the people them say you could have play music. You can play reggae music 24/7, 365 for a decade. You don't even scratch the surface of the vastness of reggae music. So why we just stuck in these hit songs and this kind of program that we programming ourselves with these few songs and so much great music out there we can mix together. You know, I love to mix the old with the new. So even last night I see some eyebrows raised because I go to 70s, find my way back to 90s, find my way up to 2010s, find my way to yesterday, back to the, you know. So it's like it's easy, it's not hard, but you just have to have people who appreciate and love music for real. It's not just go dance and pose and wait upon the big shella song. You have to love music.
I've been learning more and more, man. There's definitely a large audience for that. That's why we're doing the thing there, Untitled Kitchen. It's definitely a group of. It's just for them.
More
to
come
find
play,
it.
man.
Yeah.
More come play.
It's just for them to either you find them or them find you.
Yeah.
Over time, you know.
Yeah.
And we have to actually keep these events going to the point to the build up. I think that's the main thing too, right?
Yeah.
Don't deviate from what's.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Just keep the thing, you know, firm. And again, it go back to that original thing of just like holy faith, you know. Like ebbs and flows, we're in a slump now in terms of the reception of it or the pushing of it out there in the wider world. But, you know, if we stick to it, there must come a time when it catch again. And it's like, you know, we will be there, Jah willing, to even help mentor the younger ones who can come up and carry it forward, you know, to our strength.
How can an artist make touring make sense economically in this current economic climate, right? But there's a first part to that. Has live reggae performances recovered from COVID yet?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Right now, the thing look like it's in a worrisome state, you know? I feel like, trust me, some big artists where you would have feel like say, yo, them supposed to can ram certain venue. It's just not happening. No fault of their own. They're putting out great music. They're even working with the promoters, ask them for a video drop, rare, and them doing all of it. And maybe the algorithm will beat them on one hand. You get me? And then on the other hand, maybe people just have gotten so comfortable after COVID that them realize them can stay in them house and enjoy themselves now. And so I'm sure it's a multiplicity of factors, but overall, I just think it don't look so hot right now. It's worrisome.
You know more than me because you deal with different spaces. I'm dealing with Jamaica and Northeast here, right?
Yeah.
I noticed attendance were declining before COVID, though, personally. When I went to shows, it was less and less people. But it seems like after COVID now, I don't know who there when you pull up. It's just kind of light, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if I really noticed it before COVID. For us, and meaning us, I mean like tour managing for Protoje. I don't think anything drastic was happening before the pandemic happened. Things were trending upwards for us, I think. You know? Yeah. Bigger offers were coming in, and stuff like that. But again, he is one of the handful. I mentioned Jesse, you know, Kabaka at times as well, who have managed to penetrate the North American scene. So they, for whatever reason, they are very enthusiastic about calling a Protoje to their reggae festivals. And the festival money is really what carries through a tour. You know, if you can get 2 solid festivals and then connect the dots with some club shows,
Gone clear.
then you're pretty much solid, you know? So, yeah, I feel like if you're not getting into the festival scene, it rougher for you.
One off.
Yeah, rougher for, yeah, if you do the little one-off them or whatever. That said, I've heard some great successes, especially like in the dancehall scene, you know? And like over here on the East Coast, you know?
This dancehall zone though, fire.
Yeah,
it's
exactly. So it's interesting to see the different areas and what they gravitate towards and where the diaspora is, and our own diaspora. We can put on a solo event and depend upon Jamaican diaspora. It is not going to end well. You get me?
You know what I noticed is that I don't know if it's the work, I don't know if it's the education level, but you've been in Florida. Florida's a love versus rock place from top to bottom.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
East Coast is hardcore dance off. You could bring a roots thing, but it could work depending. It has to be like a real package event to get a big crowd. But New York, Jersey, Philly, fire DC, it's just hardcore dance off.
Well, DC have a nice roots crowd. That's where I started selecting. And DC have a nice roots audience.
You think it's still there?
It's definitely less now. Yeah. But the remnants are still showing themselves, you know. Midnight used to live there.
Obviously.
So I think Midnight really, I don't know, I get the feeling like Midnight really trained the people them for love the roots, you know.
Facts, right.
Yeah, them train them. So by the time I came, it was like me playing Midnight music and other roots and culture things. It made people feel reminiscent about the times of Midnight living in DC. So it was like I brought a new wave of fresh air for them as a selector, you know. And then when I moved, I always hearing people say, boy, since you moved, the thing gone back down a little bit or whatever. Cause nobody not sitting in that pocket, you know.
I hear promoters say fans are not really buying pre-sold tickets and are only seeing sales the day of and the day before the event. How is that impacting artists?
Yeah, I agree that is a trend, you know. Again,
it's after COVID though, right?
No, I think from even before. And I'm thinking of our people. I'm thinking of diaspora. So we have a reputation of strong walk-up.
Why is that?
I don't know. People just make them decision last minute. Maybe them just say, then we decide wake up first and see how the day look and how it feel and say, hey man, I got to dance tonight. And it could be it's just our cultural norm that we do that. So it impacts the artist when you do it, when you get to a certain level where you're dealing with, like, say, the Live Nations and all these people, where they have a culture of people buying tickets from when, so they can project, and that makes for better business. You can project your earnings, you can decide, you can make certain decisions based on that. Maybe something as simple as say, yo, we give them a hospitality rider, and them say, well, ticket sales don't look so hot right now, so can you give us a shorter version of the rider, because I don't think we're able to manage this budget to do all of that. So I have to say, all right, 2 less of that, 3 less of that, this is the short version. So if we don't support ourselves in that way so that our promoters can make decisions like that and support the artists, then it just going to cause more stress on the artist in the end, you know? And then that can even in some cases lead to a poor show. Because you're literally affecting the mood of the artist coming in and saying, oh, only 50 tickets sell and it's a 500 capacity venue. it not gonna look good. It might even affect how the artist dress. I'm not gonna waste my good outfit today. I just go on, you know? Literally, you know? So we have to understand the ecosystem of what make an artist like successful. And if we rate the artist and we streaming their music and we love their music in our house all the time, we have to recognize this is how they make them bread. Like they're not making it from the streets, you know?
And going back to culture, culture impacts all aspects of the ecosystem, right? Yeah. Because if we have a culture where we're not really into support and understand the importance of supporting our own, it impacts all aspects of everything in our culture. The thing I want to say is that though, should people in the diaspora who don't support reggae music criticize reggae music? Because you're not playing a role. Like, it's just, I'm hearing a lot of people who don't go to shows, don't do anything to promote the artist, but it seems like they're the biggest critics. So should you be in a position to criticize something you don't support and you don't invest in?
Seem like you answer the question. The question, you know. I don't think that's right.
It's a tricky thing because if we just gonna keep it 100, right?
Yeah.
Reggae artists survive off of white ticket sales. That's the reality of it. But majority of the criticism comes from people who look like them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen over the years that some artists just they figured out how to mentally block the criticism because they realize that what those people are saying will have no real impact on them. You know? So I've seen it in many spheres. It's a cultural thing, as you say. All right, let's go back to Rastafari. Born politics. Don't want to be involved in politics, right? That's a general consensus of Rastafari. We born politics. Who was His Majesty? One of the greatest politicians to ever walk the face of the planet. So how can we say we are Rastafari? His name is Rastafari. And we are being called by his name. And we born politics. We don't want to have take part in any form of civic life. Them things that occurred to me after a while. Cause I used to bond the politics same way, but it's like after a while I sit down and I say, hold on there. I read His Majesty's speeches and I say, hold on there. No man. This hypocritical. We're not aligning at all with the man who we say we are dealing with. So that's over the years I just learned even to filter out those things. You know, like you have to take certain criticism with a grain of salt. You know, it's sad to say. You listen to your people and obviously it's not like you're completely immune. You're obviously affected by what people have to say because you're human. But you still have to go make a decision. Say, yo, all right, me I do what me I do because I know my reasons. You know?
Hey, earlier in the reason you spoke about mystical, spiritual experiences you had, right?
Yeah.
And I found like during the journey of finding myself, during that shift, a lot of things were happening. A lot of weed was involved. Right? Yeah. Have to acknowledge it. But could you share, what were those experiences like when you said you had mystical, spiritual experiences?
Yeah. So, man, at that time, I thought I was probably low-key. I thought I was going crazy. Because, like, so much things can be happening to me at once. It was just overwhelming, you know? But a couple of things that I remember right now is I remember, you know, just like it happened January 2010. The earthquake happened in Haiti. I think the earthquake happened, if I'm not mistaken, it was the 12th. One of those days in January. And like about 2 days after that, I think. It's recorded better in my book because I was journaling at the time. So I was using exact dates. I know exactly what happened when. So tried and true, have the full 100. But I remember just after 2 days, things just started happening, weird things that I was like, yo. And it culminated in one night where I was working at Tough Gang at the time. And I was on the computer working late because I was catching up to work because so much things had happened to me that one time I didn't even have to just take time off work and just go home after lunch or something because I was almost in tears, you know. And this night I working overtime there on the computer, and a random image popped up on the computer.
Serious thing.
A random image of a sister of mine holding a turtle. I'm like, how can this happen? I don't understand. And then it disappeared. I'm like, this is weird. I know people can do things with computers. It's not far-fetched, but there's no, when I think about it, I used to run a website in early Jamaican internet history. And I understand a lot of back-end stuff with IT and them kind of thing there. And there was no discernible reason for that to happen. But I just, whatever. And I think I even link her and say, well, go on, you're good and whatever. And we had a little conversation and thing. And then, like, I walked out of the office and went to the car park to jump in the car. And I saw, like, a crescent moon, I said, wow, crescent moon just strike me. And drive over to my brethren's yard and hold a reasoning and thing. And then I was dropping on my next brethren. I was driving up Washington Boulevard. And then I see the moon now lower. And the moon was blood red. A crescent blood red moon. And it was really just drawing me in. I was like, yo, I feel a connection here, And then now, drop out my brethren. As I drop out my brethren, because I was reasoning the car was quiet, but I drop him home now and turn up the radio. Muta Baruka was on the radio. And Muta Baruka was talking about Dutty Bookman. And just giving a little history of Dutty Bookman and thing. And I listened to that thing keenly. Drive myself home and him talking about it. And as I park the car, him finished talk about Dutty Bookman. And move on. A commercial break. I turn off the car and like I meds the whole vibes and whatever. The next day now, I think I had a meeting at Bob Marley Museum. Because we were getting ready for the February Earth Strong celebration. So meeting had a whole heap of meetings was going on in the time. And again, on the radio, not Muta this time. Somebody else was on the radio, IRA FM though, talking about Dutty Bookman while I'm driving to the museum. And I parked the car at the museum and listen a little bit more, and then within the next 3 minutes or so, them finished talk about Bookman. And then I come out and had the meeting or whatever. And then now, after the meeting done, I went back to my office up Tough Gang. I drive to Tough Gang, and I pull up, park the car, and my brethren, I missed a key part of the story. Before that, one night I was going to sleep. And I had a very vivid vision of me being drawn into the center of the earth. Like, I literally saw the core of the earth and I'm in there. And the energy, something was speaking to me, but it wasn't a human form. It's just the energy of the space in the core of the earth communicating with me. And it was basically the energy of femininity, like a divine feminine presence, and basically saying to me like, yo, mankind hurt me, mankind really hurt me. And I remember feeling so struck by it and really like apologetic and like saying, yo, Jano, for my part in this, I'm really truly sorry, So fast forward back now, I pull up at Tough Gang, my brethren, Yaga, aka Jovan Puran, great artist, was painting a mural. At that time we were beautifying the space and whatever. And he was painting a mural. And I had never seen the progress of the mural until that day. And it was called Beautiful Mother Nature. And he had some Ziggy Marley lyrics. And I remember I look on it and the whole scene of it just made me like start bursting into tears.
Quick. You was a gallus or something, fire? It was this.
Yeah, how you know?
I'm just saying, based on what you were saying, it seems like you was a gallus, and some type of intervention was coming, some type of exposure was coming spiritually. Because when you said Mother Earth and you hurt the woman and this and that, then you said you felt bad. So I'm figuring this man probably was really hitting the road kind of hard then.
Yeah, but the thing is, the short answer when you say, am I a gallus, is yes. But I don't view myself really as a gallus in that sense. In terms of back in the day, I did have a lot of different girlfriends, but it was always one at a time. It's not like me, I try dog down the place. But I was always interested in finding a woman. But I was always quick to know when something not going to work, so I don't prolong things. So I think in the process, some females may have felt shocked and hurt by me just saying this not gonna work, but I feel like my honesty was needed, and I think it actually, in retrospect, it's important because I'm friends with a lot of my ex-girlfriends now. They respect me same way. So maybe it hurt in the moment, but I think they respect being open and honest, and we all can see in the end that we were not compatible and whatever. So maybe there's an aspect of that, you know? But yeah, I just remember bursting into tears looking at this thing. Beautiful Mother Nature, you know? And then now, one of the kickers now is I went over to, there's a studio on Windward Road where the Uprising Roots band, off Windward Road, Uprising Roots band used to work out of there. And we used to go there all the time and lick steamers or whatever, Janine, others. And was licking steamers over there one time. And they keep a fire in the yard, you know. Black Kush, the drummer of the band, was like a fire custodian. So him go out and find the wood every day and stockpile it and whatever. The fire was running for, I don't remember how many consecutive days, but it's like almost a year. And it never out. So anyone could just go sit around the fire and hold a reasoning lick steamers really. And we're there and thing, and him have images of Marcus Garvey or whatever, and His Majesty in front of the fire. And we did it, and me and Jana in a whole reasoning. And we reach a powerful part of the reasoning. And His Majesty portrait just fell. No discernible big breeze or anything. It just tip over and fall. I'm gonna say, yo, rotted. His Majesty drop. And Jana turned to me and said, no, him bow to you. I think due to what we were reasoning about, she said, yo, it was a sealer moment, you know? I said, yo. You know? And then there was a cloud passing over, like me looking at the fire in that direction, in the shape of a crescent moon. Literally, you know, the shape of a crescent moon. So all of these things were connecting day by day, different things connecting with each other. And then a maroon priestess, Mama G, big up every time. She actually partially officiated me and my Empress wedding. Mama G used to hang out at the studio too. And Mama G come out now and start reasoning with me. And for the first time, she was telling me about that she came from the same village, the same town where Dutty Bookman came from. That the legacy of Dutty Bookman is that where she grew up. And she started empower me with this knowledge, you know? And that was the moment now when I say, yo, it was just, I'm talking consecutive days in a junior. No break. That it was this message of, yo, to the point where I thought I was the reincarnation of Dutty Bookman. That was what I was telling people. Now I know better. I don't think I'm the reincarnation of him. I don't see where he is in my direct ancestral lineage. But he definitely worked with me, you know? And so I have a deep respect and connection with him. I have an image of him that the only known, not like there was pictures at the time, but the only interpretation of him that I've seen. Apart from there's some other things out there where there's like an image of the scene at Boakaiman or whatever and people interpreting, but there's this really powerful interpretation of him that an artist did, and I saw it online. And I bought it immediately. It's just like his face. And you can see the fire in his eyes and him looking off in the distance, you know, like the future. And I even used to play with that image. Like when I go play music, put that out in front of people and make them see that, you know. I mean, if I bring that back, you know. Yeah, but it was just a really powerful set of experiences that any day by themselves is like, what's the chances? And then the chances of all of these things happening back to back, so till it drive me to tears, you know, it was just too much for me. And that really did change my whole mentality. 2010, moving on, I became
right before
Bookman.
2010.
No, that was January 2010.
I got
All of that was the January 2010, right after the earthquake. The earthquake happened, and then this started like 2 days after that.
earthquake happened in Haiti.
Yeah, and the earthquake happened in Haiti. Every time I turn on the radio, Bookman being discussed, the crescent moon in the cloud, the crescent moon in the sky, the blood. Oh, and when I went and I saw Jovan painting and I saw the beautiful Mother Nature and I started crying and things. I mean, I wiped my tears and I said to him, yo, brother, you don't even know what kind of week I've been having or whatever. I mean, I say, yeah, even like whatever. I mentioned to him the blood red moon. And like him say, yeah, the voodoo moon. I said, the voodoo moon? Never heard of this thing before. I mean, I said, but yeah, voodoo is the whole thing that happened in Haiti. The whole ceremony was a voodoo ceremony. So everything was cross-referencing over this like 7-day period. And I thought I was going crazy. I was like, I had to write it down in the book just to know that it was real. Like, look back through my journal and say, yo, these things really did happen.
And last thing, man, I know you got to leave for the brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Can you speak about the power of journaling?
For me, it's everything, man. I don't do it much anymore, but I think there must be a period in people's lives where journaling can really help you to know yourself, because reading back your journal entries, you know, because when you interact with people daily or whatever, you're just being yourself, whatever. You're not necessarily seeing what people see from the outside looking at you, the type of person you are. But when you write and you read back, you kind of get that sense, like, this is the type of person I am. You can study yourself a little bit better. So that helped me to know, like, okay, I'm this kind of peculiar individual that I think this way and whatever. And it helps me to grow and become more confident in who I am. So I definitely recommend it to people to journal, you know.
How has your faith grown being in this industry from its inception? Because I'm pretty sure with repetition, fight every day you're presented with things that just make you question, like, yeah, I don't know if this thing gonna work out or this and that, and you just hold on to your faith. So I think you're a good person to ask, right? How has your faith grown being in this industry?
My faith has grown because year after year, somehow, we attract productivity, business, we attract goodness and positive vibes, and we're sustaining, you know. But you're right. Right now, I'm at the end of my busy season as a tour manager. So my yearly cycle is like, we're touring a lot from, like, say, maybe let's call it like, well, we always have some good shows in February, like Cali Vibes is in February. So that normally kind of kick off the year. But then the real season starting towards like the April, May, go through the summer. And then by September, October, it level off again. And then now I have to start activating some other income streams just to make it through to the next one. And you're right, you don't know until the actual offers come in. Are we going to get offers for next year? You know? And then, you know, me personally, I've always moved with faith. You know, it's like, and when I say it cautiously or in a different way, because people have a view of what faith looks like. Like, you chant plenty prayers and blah, you know, there's a way that people view faith. But for me, my faith has always been like an ingrained knowing that things always work out. And so, yes, you must put in your effort to generate the conditions. But I've never seen throughout my life, there has been no reason for me to doubt that the creator, the universe, aligns for my well-being and put things in my path that sometimes I have to know, don't take that opportunity, even though it look good. But that's up to me and my wisdom now and how I am thinking about the next steps. But the opportunities always present themselves sometime in the most timely manner. Even just up to last month, like, as I said, we moved to Jamaica. It's been a really heavy financial burden to move to Jamaica with a family. And you go through WAF couple times and all sort of something. School fee you have to pay, all sort of something, which we're not used to up here because school was free this whole time. So, I say, I scratch my head and it's like, I can only see to this point and what's going to happen after that. And out of the blue, a brother linked me with a big offer for me, not for Protoje, which is not, people always link me for Protoje, but somebody linked me for me and say, yo, more you come select and whatever, and, here's the offer. I say, yo, give thanks, Jah. That's all I can do. And for me, I practice. I'm really pleased with myself about this. I practice giving thanks when nothing bad is. I don't call upon God when it's something bad and I have to ask for help. I just always giving thanks for life, and I think it affects the good that comes around me.
I think, man, I'm glad you said that. I hope people are listening keenly, because I think that gratitude mixed with consistency and effort, fire.
Yeah.
You attract so much stuff. And also when you think, because remember, sometimes we think things are not going good, and that's not the case. That's just what we think. When you think things aren't going good, you have enough firmness in you to stand firm and continue to work and continue to stay focused.
Yeah.
Because what I learned is this. People may be very consistent, but when things not going their way, their consistency drops.
They lose focus, yeah.
And you lose focus, so you lower the probability of something working because the effort you were putting in has declined tremendously. And I think that's the key that, like, people don't understand with people who do stuff is that the journey dread and rough, right? It's not an easy journey, but like I notice those who can have longevity and actually accomplish stuff is that, like, I know even in my personal life, right? This is a rough period. I got the things coming up, but it's my consistency has not changed.
Yeah. You do great works, brother.
Now we give thanks still, but the consistency and the effort has not changed regardless of the outcome of what's been going on.
Yeah.
And those who actually accomplish stuff are able to do that. And also it puts your faith on the heights because you just always, the work is mixed with or added to the faith in a sense. It's not a blind faith.
Yeah, but it's faith with works. That's big the thing, That's a big thing. Even like in the Christian church, there are churches that believe in just faith. Jesus, have faith that Jesus will save us. There are some that is faith and works. His Majesty is from a Orthodox Christian order that deal with faith and works. That's why the man relentlessly put on him boots and go out there and work. So I am of that belief. Faith will have to come with work. You can't just sit down and just think say something going to save you. It's the energy you put out that the universe say, oh, he might do that. So that means we need to send that theme way because, he might do that. So to me, that's how the thing works. The works is very integral to the whole thing.